tonight with the live session about that's a very special series that I've got, how to get a job how to get a professional job in Australia. So a lot of people, they ask me questions about how to get a job in Australia, and I will share with you a little bit of my experience here in Australia recruiting engineers and recruiting project managers. Yeah, thanks Jessica, thanks Lucas for your feedback. Yeah. Okay, so we will start. Hi everyone, and welcome to another live session from the series How to Get a Professional Job in Australia. And in this live session, I will be talking about 5 hints for a stronger professional interview that I hope will increase your chances to be selected as a successful candidate. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida. I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website to share content of value and useful information to help you in your journey to validate your engineering qualification in Australia. And I also share other information about engineering, like workplace health and safety, environmental management, other engineering subjects, and how to get a professional job in Australia as well. And this is live number 144. Yes, you heard very well. 144 live sessions that I do here every week. So it means that for almost 3 years, 52 weeks in a year, 104. So 156 will be 3 years that I'm here every week. Very consistent. And we are in live 144. So another 12 weeks. We will be celebrating 3 years doing live sessions here every week. And I do these live sessions so I can share my knowledge about the engineering qualification and also about recruitment processes. And you could be asking yourself, oh, Jerson, you're a civil engineer. You talk about validation process, etc. But why are you talking about how to get a professional job here in Australia? Well, first of all, because of my own experience as an overseas engineer. I got already few jobs here in Australia, and I got few promotions as well. And every time, obviously, I needed to apply for jobs and get those jobs as well. So also, as part of my professional career here in Australia, I recruited already several engineers and several project managers and other officers as well. So resource managers, mainly managers, because of my position. So I reviewed and I interviewed already dozens and dozens of candidates. I reviewed hundreds of applications. And I can tell you, just looking at the application, if the application is a good application or not good application, if the candidate has chances to move to the professional interview. And for those that not familiar with the Australian way of recruiting, here in Australia, you usually find a job in a job website. You can go to seek.com.au or indeed.com.au. Those sort of job websites. And once you find a job that you like and you would like to apply, you open up, and then you're probably going to find a position description. And then you open up the document, you read the position description, you can apply on those websites, or you can apply directly to the company or directly to the recruitment agency. So you prepare your CV, you prepare your cover letter, and then you apply to that position. You may get a phone call just from the company or the recruitment agency to confirm few things. And if you're the lucky one, you could be shortlisted, lucky ones. Usually companies, they shortlist few candidates, 3, 4, 5, 6 candidates. So they advance to the professional interview. And tonight, I'm going to talk with you guys about this professional interview. A lot of people, they fail in the professional interview just because they don't know how to behave in these professional interviews. And I already saw many good applicants that they had very good applications, but their behavior in the professional interview was so bad that obviously they missed out and they didn't get a job. So I'm here to share this experience and share some of the hints that hopefully will help you to advance to the stage after the professional interview, which is usually that you are hired, you're the successful candidate. And I already can think and feel every time that I got that phone call or that email saying that, let's say that you receive an email, you apply for a job, and then you received an email saying, "Hey, Gerson, I'm pleased to invite you to the professional interview of the position, whatever position that you applied for, etc." So when you read that statement or that phrase in your email, or somebody calls you saying, "Hi, Gerson, this is John from recruitment company, and I'm pleased to invite you to the professional interview that's going to happen next week or the week after, whatever." And then you hang up. After you hang up, you start thinking, or after you read the email, you start thinking, when was my last time that I had my professional interview? What was the feedback that I received when I was unsuccessful in the recruitment processes? What clothes should I wear? Should I focus on the technical, which are the hard skills, or should I focus on the soft skills areas? Who will be part of the interview panel? So those questions are probably just few questions that you will ask yourself when you receive the good news that you've been shortlisted. Because nowadays there's a lot of candidates. Every time that we advertise for engineers and project managers, we usually get about 50 good candidates. So if you are shortlisted, you should be proud of yourself already, because you already advanced in a very competitive market. But obviously, the really, really good news is when you get the job. So some of the tips that I would like to share with you. The first one, and they're not really in priority, I just number them, but one is not more important than the other. So one tip is to understand the professional interview in Australia. And in general, I'm talking in general, obviously the interviews can be a little bit different, but in general, when you are applying for a reputable company, we're not talking about when you apply for a company that's a family-owned business, that the company is very small and perhaps they don't really have a structure. But we're talking about when you're applying for a reputable company. In general, there is a panel of interviewers. And this panel, usually a chair or the leader of that panel, which can be somebody from the HR or somebody that could be your future supervisor. Also, there could be somebody which is an expert in the subject. But usually 3 people there: the expert in the subject, your future supervisor, and somebody from HR, the human resources department. And usually those interviews, they consist about 1 hour, and sometimes you are provided with some time. They ask you to arrive 15 or 30 minutes earlier, and then when you arrive, they give you sometimes a list of questions that the panel is going to ask you. So you have about 15 to 30 minutes to prepare your answers for that. And usually those questions, they are addressing the selection criteria or the key competencies. And once that time is up, Then you are invited to the interview room, and then there will be then the panel there, the 3 people there, for example, and you sit somewhere there, and they will start asking questions. They will explain to you the process. They will ask you if you have any question about the position. They're going to ask you if you have any questions about the process, and then you can start your interview. And the interview could be questions about, obviously, the job that you're going to do, or they even could give you a scenario. And then on that scenario, you will need then to develop your answers there. So the first tip is about understanding how is the process of the professional interview here in Australia. The second tip, sorry, I've got something itching my nose. The second tip is how do you demonstrate your abilities? And the best way to demonstrate your abilities is to answer the questions with real examples. So when the panel of interviewers, they ask you questions, they're usually interested in knowing how you handled a real problem rather than the specific answer itself, for example, just using a theoretical base. They want to know that you had a problem, and then you give a little bit of background of that problem or project, and then you describe the problem-solving methodology that you used, and then you came up with a few options, and some options they had the pros and cons, and then you describe how you went about analyzing those pros and cons, which option did you decide to use, and what was the outcome after you implemented that option. So usually the panel of interviewers, they like to have this structured approach when answering the questions. And most importantly, to use a real example of what you did. Remember that the interviewers, they want to know that you are competent. And competency means that you had the knowledge and you applied that knowledge there. The other important hint is about, am I the right candidate for that job? So that is a very good question that you need to ask yourself. And how do I transfer to the panel of interviewers that I am the right candidate? Obviously, you are participating in the interview, so you want to make sure that you are the right candidate for that project. But how do you demonstrate that to the panel? One approach that I like to see in candidates is that candidates, they demonstrate that they are the solutions for the pain or pains of the work opportunity. Every time that somebody is advertising a position, a company is advertising a position, it's because they have some sort of a pain. For example, we will be soon advertising for a position in our company. And why are we advertising that position? Well, because we have a pain, we have a problem, or we have an opportunity. We had somebody that moved on, and we need to deliver some projects, and we don't have the person to deliver that project. So that is our pain. And those projects, they are very specific. They cover this type of infrastructure, and we're going to have a very specialized engineer to work in these projects. So this is our pain. And for you to be able to improve your chances to be the successful candidate, you need to think, how can I be the solution for that pain? So first of all, you need to understand what is the pain of the company. What is hurting the company so much that they are now trying to recruit somebody to be the solution for that pain. So that is the principal aspect of this. Try to identify the pain or the pains of the company. And then once you understand the pain, you try to address some of the solution in your CV and some of the solution in your cover letter, especially if you have lots of experience. When you have lots of experience, you may have experiences in different fields as well. And that can be a little bit of a problem, because if you address in your cover letter or in your resume all your experiences, there could be some experiences that are not related to the pain of the company. And that could act as a distraction. So you need to make sure that when you are preparing your CV and you are preparing your cover letter, you focus on the pain of the company. If you can identify the pain, of course. If you can't, then you probably need to be a little bit broader. So you try to cover and try to find out, and with luck, the pain of the company. But if you can figure out the pain of the company, the reason why the company is recruiting somebody, if you are very specific in your cover letter and in your CV, you certainly will have big chances to be successful in the interview. The fourth hint is about the other question that you probably ask yourself. What should I explore during the interview? And remember, interviews, they are 45 minutes. Usually there are lots of questions, sometimes 4, 5, 6 questions. Let's say that I've got 6 questions to answer. You burn a little bit, few minutes in the beginning, few minutes in the end. So let's say that you've got about 40 minutes to answer 6 questions. 40 minutes, 6 questions, you have about 6.5 minutes for each question. And you may think, well, 6.5 minutes is a lot of time. But no, sometimes I've seen already many candidates that they take like 10, 12 minutes to answer the first question. If they do that, or if you do that, if you spend 12 minutes to answer the first question, you will have another 30 minutes, let's say, to answer 5 questions. So that's already 6 minutes each. And then in the second question, you're still trying to improve. You don't spend 12 minutes, but you spend 8 minutes. You still spend too much, which will leave you less time for the other questions. And I've seen many candidates that they answered very well the first few questions, but then because they didn't have enough time, then the few last questions, they didn't answer very well, and they ended up getting in trouble because they couldn't really answer the questions with the way, in the expectation that the panel, us, we were expecting. So obviously they were not successful. In panels, we usually say that time management is part of the assessment. Time management is one soft skills that is very important for an employee or for a professional. If we are employing somebody, we want somebody that has good time management skills as well. Because if you're delivering a project, if you're managing a project, if you're doing some engineering work, time management is going to be very important. Not just in your managerial skills, but when you are delivering projects, obviously time management is one of the areas of project management. So you need to be aware that time management is also, and when I am the panel chair, I make that very clear. I say you've got 45 minutes, you've got these 6 questions, and time management is part of the assessment. So make sure that you balance your answers with the time, so you don't use a lot of time in the beginning and then don't leave time in the end. Or if you rush too much in the beginning, then you've got time left over in the end. So that's another ability that you need to consider. But what should you explore in the interview? Well, first of all, your strengths. Obviously, it's very important for the company to understand what are your key points. the results that you have achieved. And when I mean results, the concrete results, the real results. Use examples that you did. So the company will realize that you're actually competent in what you are doing. I also like candidates when they are exploring their ability to resolve problems. When they have problems and they show that they are skilled to resolve problems, usually the panel appreciates that. Teamwork capabilities is always important to demonstrate as well and to explore. But most of all, you need to address the requested selection criteria. In your position description, or the position description that you are going to apply for, usually there are selection criteria, and you need to address those selection criteria. If you don't address those selection criteria, you're probably not going to be successful. And if you have any questions about professional interviews, yeah, please put in the comments, and I'll be opening for questions very soon. And the fifth tip is about behavior. You could be asking again yourself, what's the preferred behavior? How should I behave in a professional interview? Well, first of all, it's important to be natural and smile. When you enter the room, you have a big smile, demonstrating that, yes, you are happy to be there, having the chance to explore your skills and abilities. At the end of the day, in your cover letter, you probably put in your last paragraph that you would love the opportunity and you would appreciate the opportunity to explore further your skills and capabilities in a professional interview. And if you have been invited to a professional interview, once you enter the room, wow, that needs to show in your face that you're really, really appreciative of the opportunity to be there and to explore your skills and competencies. It's always important to also be assertive with your answers. So when the panel is asking questions, don't be like, I'm not sure, I'm not comfortable. If you demonstrate this behavior, it's not going to be good. It's showing that one, probably you're not competent in that area. Two, you're probably not prepared for that job. And if you're not, and if you don't know, obviously, then it's better to say, sorry, I don't know this, and instead of trying to make up. If you try to make up, the panel will certainly notice that you're making things up, and it's not going to be good. But if you know the answer, be assertive. Do not overcomplicate with your examples. I said before that it's very important to use real examples when you are demonstrating your results, when you're talking about the questions. But don't overcomplicate with your examples, especially if you delivered a very large and complex project. Don't try to talk about everything. Maybe you give a little bit of the context in the beginning, but then in the project, choose a particular problem that you had to deal with and explore that problem instead of trying to talk about everything superficially. If you try to talk about everything superficially, it may backfire and the panel may not have a lot of confidence that you are competent in depth. You could be broader competency, but majority of engineers' job, you need to be competent in depth as well. And as I mentioned before, follow the technique of the problem solving. Describe the problem, the options that you came up with pros and cons, the chosen option, what did you go about implementing the options, and the results that you've achieved. So if you use this technology or technique of the problem solving when you're answering the questions, there's very little room to go wrong. You're probably going to be okay. And if you don't know the answer, be honest and say that you don't know, but you're willing to learn and research about that problem. Just mindful time. In conclusion, I know that the interviews can be daunting for many candidates, especially if you are outside of your area. Like me, when I arrived in Australia, I was working as other things, cleaner, kitchen hand, and other jobs. So I was already outside of my field for almost a year. And having an interview, it can be a little bit scary because you're not really comfortable probably and confident, especially because it's an overseas country. But we often forget that the people in the selection panel are people like us, looking not for someone to fill the advertised position, but to select a candidate that can really help them to solve a problem and to be the solution for that pain. Remember, those people that are interviewing you, they have some pains, and they can see in you that you could be the solution or the remedy for that pain. So be ready for the interview. Try to prepare yourself. Another important hint, a bonus hint, is about looking at the company's website. Sometimes the panel may ask you before the formal interview. They can ask you, tell us, what do you know about our company? What do we do? What industry are we? And if you haven't searched on the website, if you haven't read the website and look at the website, probably you're not going to answer very well. So it's very important to go to the website of the company, read, have a look at the projects that they're delivering, their structure, try to find out their culture, if they are an inclusive company, if they have concerns about the environment and other things. And most importantly, the scope, what they do, the services that they provide, the importance that they give to their customers, etc. So very important to understand the values and the principles of the company. Because nowadays, the panel of interviewers, they're usually asking, tell us, what do you know about us? Tell us, what do you know about our company? And then you can demonstrate that you did your homework, you are an interested candidate, you researched about the company, and they will be certainly impressed as well. All right, so yeah, just looking at some of the questions. If I have any questions there, I'm just going to double check. Just checking here on Facebook. Yeah, YouTube. Hi, Lucas. How can I recognize the pain of the company? Yeah, that's a very good question, Lucas. Well, first of all, not many candidates, they actually ring the recruitment agent. Sometimes they don't put any contact details, but sometimes they do have contact details. And then I advise you that to ring the recruitment agent and say, hello, my name is Jerson. I saw that you guys are advertising this position, and I'm considering in applying for that position. And I have questions about the job and the position. I just would like to make sure that I'm going to apply for the right position. I don't want to waste your time if I'm not the right profile for that company. And then you can start asking questions. What are the projects? Is there any particular issue that I need to address if I am the successful candidate? If you can ask a little bit more details about the position, about the project, And during the conversation, the recruitment agent may or may not release some of the pain. You need to be, obviously, you're not going to ask the question directly, oh, what's the pain of the company? They're not going to tell you. But you need to be able to talk to the agent or the company and trying to get some information. If you can get it, maybe the company will say, I know this is the second time that we went to the market because we're trying to get an electrical engineer that has a very good knowledge in ITS, Intelligent Transport System, and not just the theoretical knowledge, but needs to be good in delivery as well. So that is why maybe it's difficult. So if the recruitment agent says that, you know that the pain of the company in this case is somebody obviously qualified, electrical engineer, but needs to have ITS knowledge and delivery. A lot of engineers, they're very good in the theoretical field, but they may not be a good project manager. And a lot of the companies today, they asking engineers to work as engineer and as project managers. So they got to have the two skills together. So that could be the pain of the company. Finding an engineer that is not good just with engineering skills, but is also good with project management skills. So that could be the pain of this particular company. And how do you find out? Maybe talking to the company, read carefully the position description, and then try to identify those pains. I'm just going to check in Instagram if is there any question there. No, doesn't look like there's any question. And also I want to just share with you guys, if you are interested in participating in the next free workshop, I promote a workshop called I Want to Become an Engineer in Australia. And just something went wrong with my Instagram, looks like. I just will need to quickly fix it. So if you want to be part of the next free workshop, I Want to Become an Engineer in Australia, I just pasted the link for you guys to register. You just need to provide your name and your email address, and that's it. So I'm just trying to get, didn't work in Instagram. Looks like, I don't know what's happening there. Yeah, not sure what happened in Instagram. No, it looks like Instagram is still all right. So those ones on Instagram, you can go to the link in my bio and register for free in the workshop. Just need to give your name and email address again. When is going to be the next one? I'm updating the content of the workshop. So once you get the confirm your registration, you get an email. And once I update the content, I will send you guys an email with the dates. All right. And I think there's no other questions there. Yeah, there's a tip asking, Lucas, any tips on writing a CV? Yeah, there are some tips, Lucas. I'll probably cover in another live session. So next live session, next Sunday, we'll start a series of 3 live sessions. So 3 Sundays that I'm going to talk about important behaviors for you to have when you are validating your engineering qualification process. So it's about mindset, it's about personal development, but those behaviors are very important when you are in the process, not just when you're validating your engineering qualification, but also when you're hunting for a professional job here in Australia. So it's going to be different. I haven't done these sort of live sessions with behavior. but I realized that a lot of the success of the engineers that are validating their qualification here in Australia, and also those engineers that are getting a professional job in Australia, it's about the behaviors that they are having. And I've been observing a lot of this, and I would like to share with you guys what I have observed. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Claudio, for your comment. Thank you, Jerson, for another very informative live session. Thank you very much for participating. And I hope to see you guys next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. Thank you, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.